done been injured. That white preacher got a surgeon and went over, stopped the bleeding, so Hannah could live long enough to die free.
Hannah Reynolds was the only civilian casualty of the final battle of Appomattox courthouse. She was staying in a home that was owned by her master, who was Samuel H. Coleman. And the story is that they had asked her to leave, and she refused to leave. So it seemed to be some type of connection between her and feeling like, I need to stay here and protect the house. Now you can understand Samuel H. Coleman is leaving. His wife is in her early 20s. You got 98,000 men around. So anybody that had a wife or young wife, they're trying to get out of Dodge, so to speak. So Hannah stays, and she takes around because her home, the home was right in the middle of the battlefield. You know, you got the Confederates on one side and you got the Union on the other side, and that house is right in the middle. So it became the epicenter, if you will, of the fight. I am Fleming Johnson. Fleming Johnson is a preacher in Appomattox in 1870. He shows up on the census as a preacher, the only one I've found so far. I preached her eulogy, just gave her homegoing, told a little bit of her story, tried to work on this whole idea of what it was like during that period. Some people, they like to have all this emotions in funerals, but for the African American and for the white, it was about how we're going to survive now, how we're going to rebuild our lives now.
Freedom don't take a whole lot of little steps. We done took a big step today, but we still not free. The white folks need the African folk. The African folk need the white folks.
And African Americans, even though they were filled with joy about freedom, but still they're going to have to mask that freedom to a certain degree, because you're depending on people who've lost their sons, they've lost their fathers, you know, they're grieving, they're mourning. And so I tried to, you know, help people to understand that African Americans, they had to temper their joy and their excitement and their expectations.
Hannah was a lesson. I'd rather see a lesson than hear one any day. I'd rather one to walk with me than merely show the way. For the eye is a better pupil, more willing than the ear. Good counsel can be confusing, but example is always clear. And most of all, the African folks and the white folks that name the name of Christ should be the ones who live their creed. For to see good put in action is what everyone needs. I can soon learn how to do it if you will let me see it done. The lecture you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather learn my lesson by observing what you do. For I may misunderstand you and the high advice you give, but there's no misunderstanding in how Hannah lived and how she died.
I think Hannah's death symbolizes, of course, the end of slavery, but I think it also symbolizes, it represents those people who were so close, yet so far away, whether it was Hannah the slave or whether it was the Yankee soldier who died on the last day of the fighting, or the Confederate soldier who dies on that last day. You know, but Hannah at least got to have 3 days of being a free person. And I just like to believe that hearing is the last thing to go when people die. So I believe that somebody, even if she was not totally able to respond, that somebody whispered in her ear, "You're free, Hannah. You're free, Hannah."
Who knows, 150 years from now, they may be mentioning Hannah Reynolds.